Let's begin with something simple, something honest. You've probably heard it many times, maybe even believed it at some point. Hinduism has 33 crore gods. It's repeated so often that it almost feels unquestionable. And if someone challenges it, the immediate reaction is resistance. No, this is what our tradition says. But pause for a moment. Not to reject it, not to defend it, just to look at it carefully, the way a scientist looks at a phenomenon or a seeker looks at truth. Because Hindu thought at its deepest level has never been afraid of inquiry. So let me ask you something, not as a challenge, but as a genuine curiosity. If there are truly 33 crore individual gods, where are they described? Which primary scripture lists them? Not stories, not hearsay, but foundational texts like the Vedas, the Upanishads, or the Gita. If something is so central to a tradition, shouldn't it be clearly and consistently stated? Now, instead of jumping to conclusions, let's go to the source itself. There is a fascinating dialogue in the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad, one of the oldest and most profound philosophical texts of India. A sage is asked, how many gods are there? And the answer unfolds in a very unexpected way. First, he says, 3,306 gods. Then when questioned further, he reduces the number to 33, then to 6, then to 3, then to 2, then to 1.5, and finally to 1. Just sit with that for a moment. This is not confusion. This is not a contradiction. This is a deliberate philosophical unfolding. It is like peeling layers of an onion, moving from multiplicity to unity. The final answer is not 33 crore. It is one. And that one is not a person sitting somewhere in the sky. It is referred to as Brahman, the infinite, formless, all-pervading reality that is the source of everything. The Upanishad is not trying to count gods, it is trying to dissolve the very need for counting. Now, where does the number 33 come from? This is where language plays a subtle but powerful role. In Sanskrit, the word Koti has two meanings. One is Crore, which we commonly understand as 10 million. But the older and more contextually accurate meaning is type or category. So when ancient texts refer to Trayas Trimshad Koti Devas, they are not saying 33 crore gods. They say there are 33 categories or types of divine manifestations. These 33 are then beautifully classified. 12 Adityas representing aspects of the sun and time, 12 Rudras symbolizing life forces and transformative energies, 8 Vasus representing elements of nature like earth, water, fire and air, and 2 Ashwini Kumaras associated with healing and rejuvenation. These are not 33 separate individuals with different addresses in the universe. There are 33 principles, 33 ways in which existence functions. Think about it like this. Electricity powers your fan, your phone, your refrigerator, and your computer. The expressions are many, but the underlying energy is one. You don't say there are 50 different electricities. You understand that there is one force manifesting in multiple forms. In the same way, what we call different gods in Hinduism are not competing entities, they are expressions of one underlying reality. This idea is not hidden, it is stated very clearly in the Rig Veda.
Ekam Sat Vipra Bahudha Vadanti. Truth is one, the wise call it by many names. This single line is enough to dissolve centuries of misunderstanding. And yet, over time, something interesting happened. As knowledge moved from scholars to society, from Sanskrit to local languages, from direct study to storytelling, meanings began to shift. The word Koti began to be understood more commonly as Crore rather than type. And once that interpretation settled, it spread rapidly. After all, numbers capture imagination much more easily than philosophy. Colonial scholars, trying to make sense of a complex tradition through their own frameworks, further simplified and sometimes distorted these ideas. The result? A rich, subtle philosophy became a headline, Hindus worship 33 million gods. But here's the deeper issue. The problem is not just about correcting a number. The problem is about how we understand reality itself. If you believe there are 33 crore separate gods, each controlling different aspects of life, it can subtly shape your psychology. You may feel fragmented. You may feel that life is controlled by countless external forces, each needing to be pleased, each capable of punishing or rewarding you. This can create anxiety, confusion, or even helplessness. But when you understand that all these forms are expressions of one underlying reality, something shifts inside you. Life becomes more coherent. Your relationship with the divine becomes more intimate, more unified. This is exactly what the Bhagavad Gita tries to convey. In chapter 4, verse 11, Krishna says, Ye yatha mam prapadyante, tam tatheva bhajamyaham. As people approach me, I respond to them accordingly. And in chapter 7, verse 21, Yo yo yam yam tanum bhaktaha, shraddhaya architumichhati, tasya tasyachalam shraddham, tam eva vidadhamyaham. What does this mean psychologically? It means the form is not the ultimate truth. The connection is. You can approach the divine as Shiva, Vishnu, Devi, Ganesha, or any form that resonates with you. But the essence you're connecting to is the same. This understanding can solve one of the biggest internal conflicts people face today, the conflict of identity. Many people struggle with questions like, which God should I follow? Which path is correct? Am I doing it wrong? These questions create unnecessary mental stress. But when you realize that all paths, all forms are different expressions of the same truth, a deep relaxation happens. You are no longer confused. You are not choosing between competing options. You are simply choosing the doorway that feels natural to you. This also reduces judgment. Instead of thinking, my way is right, yours is wrong, you begin to see that different people are connecting to the same reality in different ways. And this has profound social implications. Conflicts, whether religious, cultural, or personal, often arise from the inability to see unity behind diversity. The moment you internalize this Vedic insight, your perspective changes. You become less reactive, more understanding, more inclusive.
Now, let's bring this even closer to daily life. Think about the problems people struggle with: anxiety, overthinking, lack of control, fear of the future. At the root of many of these issues is a sense of fragmentation, a feeling that life is chaotic, that forces are pulling you in different directions, that you are at the mercy of something you don't understand. But the idea of one underlying reality expressing itself in many forms gives you a completely different lens. Instead of chaos, you begin to see a pattern. Instead of fragmentation, you see connection. Instead of helplessness, you feel alignment. You realize that the same intelligence that moves the planets, that grows trees, that circulates blood in your body is also present within you. You are not separate from existence, you are an expression of it. And this is where the teaching becomes transformative. Because once you feel connected to that deeper reality, your dependence on external validation reduces. Your fear reduces. Your need to control everything reduces. You start trusting life a little more. Not blindly, but intelligently. You begin to act with clarity rather than react with anxiety. And this is the real purpose of these teachings. Not to argue about numbers, not to win debates, but to shift your inner experience of life. So when someone says Hinduism has 33 crore gods, you don't need to attack them. You don't need to prove them wrong aggressively. You can simply invite them into a deeper understanding. You can say, yes, that's a common belief, but if you look at our scriptures, they actually point to something much more profound. Not 33 crore separate gods, but one reality expressed in many ways. And if they are open, you can share the journey from 3306 to 1 in the Upanishad. You can explain the meaning of Koti. You can bring in the Rig Vedic insight of unity. You can show how the Gita embraces diversity within oneness. Not as an argument, but as an exploration. Because ultimately, this is not about correcting others, it is about clarifying your own understanding. And when your understanding becomes clear, your communication becomes effortless. You don't sound defensive, you don't sound aggressive, you sound grounded. And that has a very different impact. So the next time you hear the phrase 33 crore gods, don't react immediately. Smile a little, because now you know that behind that statement lies a much deeper truth waiting to be uncovered. A truth that says, there are not many gods competing for your attention. There is one reality expressing itself in countless ways. Not many gods, but many doors. One essence, and perhaps the real question is not how many gods exist, but whether you have begun to recognize the one presence that exists in all.
If these videos make you pause, if they make you think, if even one idea here touches something inside you, then please consider subscribing. I'm not a big channel. There's no algorithm magic working in my favor. Every video you see here is created with intention, reflection, and a genuine wish to help people understand themselves and the world a little better. Your subscription is not just a click. It tells YouTube that this kind of content matters. It tells me that this work is reaching real hearts, and it gives this small channel the strength to grow. I don't promise entertainment. I promise depth. I promise honesty. I promise conversations that stay with you long after the screen goes dark. So, if you believe in conscious thinking, emotional healing, and inner evolution, subscribe. Let's grow together, one mind, one heart, one step at a time. Thank you for being here.